This tip I call the triple threat topspin. Many players know the standard follow through for a topspin swing that goes over the shoulder, pointing the elbow and pointing the butt cap. You've probably heard lots of analogies on that one stroke. What you're seeing in the game today is a variety of topspins, and I call it the triple threat topspin, even though there's actually little differences that you may see some of the players do. But there's basically 3 different follow-throughs. The one over the shoulder, the one that comes down on the hip, and the one that comes behind the head. Now in the old days, this shot was called the Swedish topspin, because the Swedish coach Berglund developed that type of follow-through to impart more topspin on the ball. This shot was called the buggy whip, where you pulled the racket backwards like a whip. And this one was just called the standard follow-through. It was more like this instead of over the shoulder. Nowadays, they're not new, but they have new names for them. The shot over the shoulder is the standard follow-through. The shot to the hip is called the inverted follow-through, where the racket head inverts back here. And the one that goes back over the shoulder, like you see Nadal and Sharapova and all the players using nowadays, is called the reverse forehand. In the regular follow-through, which you get a gradual low to high swinging of the racket, you impart a moderate amount of topspin. But along with that comes a little bit more depth and a little bit more power hitting through the shot. With the old Swedish topspin or the inverted follow-through, you actually impart more topspin. You can hear the chirp, but you may not get as much velocity and depth. So you can usually hit this ball when it's either a higher ball or you want more clearance over the net, because it's going to impart more topspin by the more vertical attack on the ball. The one going over the shoulder is more gradual, and it does impart the topspin, but it has a little bit more velocity, a little bit more depth. That's why they call it the bread and butter forehand. The reverse forehand is often used on a run or when you really want to get the ball up and down very quickly. So I use it a lot of times when I'm running for the ball. I'm going to demonstrate that. That way I don't actually have to have my feet in any particular position. I can run, and it's done all with the arm. I'm going to demonstrate that one more time. Very efficient on a ball that's away from you or short and you're having to get in there quickly. Let me explain just a little bit about the grips for those 3 forehand shots. The forehand grip, or the most common used grip for most intermediate players, is called an Eastern forehand. This is good for a moderate topspin shot. It puts the racket in a straight up and down position in a fairly strength position of your wrist. The semi-Western grip, or more behind the racket, closes the racket face slightly and is a little bit better grip for the Swedish or the inverted follow-through. It sets the racket strings to the ball and makes it easier to come up and back behind the ball to create more topspin. That's called a semi-Western. There are players that use a Western grip well underneath the racket handle. Most of these players, when hitting a ball, their elbow is bent, their racket is straight up and down, and they create an immense amount of topspin from the racket being slightly closed at the point of contact. I don't recommend this grip, although a lot of great players use it. The continental grip, which is more on top, is a great grip for serves, volleys, slice backhands, overheads, but not a very good grip for a topspin forehand. Your natural position of your wrist on that grip would put the racket in this position. You almost have to make a very muscular and uncomfortable turn of the racket face to get it in position to be straight up and down to impart the topspin. So most topspin grips are a little bit more to the right and even more to the right for the heavier topspin attacks on the ball. One time when I used the inverted follow-through and using the semi-Western grip is a time when I get a short ball, high ball set up for a put away. Without this grip and without that follow through, many times I'll try to hit this ball hard and aggressively, and it just goes long. But with the semi-western grip and the attack with an inverted follow through, I create a lot of top spin, and you can be very aggressive and still keep the ball in play. I can tell when other players that I'm playing against know this shot, because when I hit that soft ball to them that's set up, as they run up to it, usually they have a little drool coming out. Remember, when hitting that forehand, you don't have to be one-dimensional. Use that triple threat to be a threat on the court.